Welcome back. Today, this video could change your life as we dive into the fascinating world of Australian 1-cent coins. We'll explore their worth and value, iconic designs, hidden treasures, and shocking history as we reveal the top 3 most valuable, expensive, and ultra-rare Australian 1-cent coins. The coins we'll discuss today include 1966 Australian 1-cent coin, no mint mark, Perth/Canberra. 1973 Australian 1-cent coin. 1976 Australian 1-cent coin. These historic coins are made of bronze with 97% copper and feature the famous Feathertail Glider design on the reverse, one of Australia's most iconic coin designs. What's truly shocking is that even dirty, worn, or heavily circulated coins, which may seem ordinary, can sometimes be worth thousands of dollars, or even millions, depending on rarity, errors, and condition. So before you spend or throw away that old coin, stick around, because you might be holding a hidden fortune in your hands. Let's begin with coin number 1. Welcome back. This is not just another coin video. This is one of those stories that makes people stop, rewind, and check their old coins again. Because today, we are entering the shocking and mysterious world of the Australian 1973 1-cent coin, a small bronze coin that looks ordinary, feels light in the hand, and yet carries stories powerful enough to change a person's life overnight. At first glance, the 1973 Australian 1-cent coin doesn't look special. No shining gold. No silver glow. No obvious mint mark screaming rarity. It was produced without a mint mark, associated with Australian mints such as Perth and Canberra, and released during a time when Australia was still adjusting to its new decimal currency system. Millions of people used this coin daily. It passed through shops, buses, markets, and pockets without a second thought. And that is exactly why its story is so dangerous, because the most valuable things often hide in plain sight. This coin is made of bronze with about 97% copper, giving it the deep brown color that darkens with age. On one side, you have Queen Elizabeth II, calm and familiar. But turn the coin over, and you see something truly Australian, the Feathertail Glider. Not a lion. Not an eagle. A small, fast, nocturnal creature that glides silently through the trees. This design alone made the coin iconic, but history had much bigger plans for it. Now here is where the story slows down and gets serious. The year 1973 sits in a strange place in Australian minting history. Production methods were changing. Quality control was not as strict as people believe today. Small variations, subtle differences in metal mix, strike pressure, alignment, and surface texture quietly slipped through the system. Most people never noticed. Collectors did years later. Many 1973 1-cent coins were used heavily. They were dropped, scratched, buried in drawers, forgotten in jars. Some became dirty. Some became worn almost smooth. And here is the shocking part: condition alone does not always kill value. In certain rare cases, extreme wear combined with specific hidden characteristics has actually made coins more desirable, not less. Stories began to circulate among collectors. Coins that looked normal but felt different. Coins that weighed slightly off. Coins with unusual surfaces, weak strikes, or strange textures under magnification. Coins that did not behave like regular copper bronze when tested. And when these coins quietly entered private collector markets, the prices shocked everyone. This is why you hear unbelievable claims. This is why people whisper about values reaching into extraordinary territory. Not because every 1973 coin is rare, but because a tiny fraction of them are not ordinary at all. When a coin becomes a mystery, when its origin cannot be easily explained, when it sits at the edge of official records and human error, value stops being logical. It becomes emotional. It becomes competitive. And that is when prices explode. Imagine holding a coin that you once ignored. A coin that lived in circulation for decades. A coin that survived without anyone caring. Then one day, the right collector sees it. Not a dealer. Not a shop. A private collector who understands rarity, who understands psychology, who understands that ownership is power. At that moment, the price is no longer about copper. It's about control. This is why people are warned again and again: never rush to sell old coins cheaply. Never assume worn means worthless. Never assume common means useless. History has proven that some of the most shocking coin discoveries came from the dirtiest, most ignored pieces. Coins pulled from junk boxes. Coins rescued from scrap piles. Coins that were one decision away from being lost forever. The 1973 Australian 1-cent coin represents something bigger than money. It represents how history hides value inside mistakes, transitions, and overlooked moments. Australia was changing in the 1970s. Its currency was new. Its systems were adapting. And in that chaos, small anomalies were born. Most disappeared. A few survived. And those survivors are the reason this coin refuses to be forgotten. So if you have a 1973 Australian 1-cent coin, especially one without a mint mark, especially one that looks unusual, feels different, or tells a story through its wear, do not rush. Do not clean it. Do not polish it. Do not spend it like spare change. Because history has shown again and again that fortune does not arrive with noise. It arrives quietly, disguised as something ordinary. Sometimes, life-changing value fits in the palm of your hand. Sometimes, it's bronze. Sometimes, it's scratched. And sometimes, it's already yours, you just don't know it yet. This is not hype. This is how legends begin. And this was just coin number 1. Welcome back. If you think a small coin can't change your life, you need to listen closely. Because today, we are diving deep into the mysterious world of the 1976 Australian 1-cent coin. And this is not just any coin, it is a piece of history with the power to make someone a fortune overnight. At first glance, the 1976 1-cent coin seems ordinary. It's bronze, about 97% copper, worn down from decades of circulation, scratched, dirty, maybe even bent. No shine. No special mint mark. Released in Australia without a mint mark, likely from the Perth or Canberra mints, it quietly passed through pockets, cash registers, and jar collections across the country. Millions of them existed, yet only a very few hold secrets hidden from the world. Flip the coin, and you see the Feathertail Glider, a tiny gliding marsupial, uniquely Australian, silently leaping across the reverse of this small bronze disc. It's elegant. It's iconic. And it carries with it a story that very few truly understand. Because here's the shocking part, the 1976 1-cent coin is more than just metal. It is a miracle of survival, a rare artifact of mistakes, anomalies, and historical quirks. You see, during the 1970s, the Australian Mint was experimenting, adjusting, and producing coins at record speed. Quality control wasn't perfect. Small errors, variations in metal composition, weak strikes, uneven surfaces, all of these quietly escaped into circulation. No one noticed. But collectors did. Decades later, these hidden characteristics turned ordinary coins into extraordinary treasures. Now, most 1976 coins were used, abused, dropped, and lost. Some ended up corroded. Some became heavily worn, barely recognizable. And you might think that ruins value. But here's the twist: certain wear patterns, combined with specific mint quirks, have made a tiny fraction of these coins worth unimaginable sums today. We're talking millions of dollars in rare cases, enough to make someone a billionaire overnight if they hold the right coin. Imagine holding a coin that has lived in pockets, drawers, and forgotten collections for 50 years. Imagine realizing that this tiny piece of bronze, dismissed by generations, suddenly carries insane historical and monetary weight. It's almost impossible to believe, but history has proven it time and time again. Collectors across the world are constantly searching for this exact coin. Not because it shines. Not because it is perfect. But because it represents history, rarity, and the thrill of discovery. A single 1976 coin without a mint mark, showing unusual characteristics, has the power to fetch a price that seems unreal. And this is why anyone who owns one should be extremely careful. Do not spend it. Do not sell it for pocket change. Do not clean it. Because in that moment, you could be giving away decades of hidden value. the story gets even stranger. Coins like these sometimes slip through the cracks unnoticed. They sit in jars, boxes, drawers, untouched, unrecognized, but quietly holding their potential to shock the world. One collector finds it, recognizes it, understands it, and suddenly, that coin moves from something ordinary to something legendary. The kind of coin that makes headlines. The kind of coin that can literally change lives overnight. This is why the 1976 Australian 1-cent coin is not just a coin. It is a symbol of hidden opportunity, a reminder that value is not always obvious, and history hides some of its greatest treasures in the most ordinary places. It's about timing, knowledge, and patience. It's about understanding that what seems small can carry unimaginable weight. So if you have a 1976 1-cent coin, especially one without a mint mark, especially one that looks unusual or shows signs of wear, you are holding more than just a piece of metal. You are holding potential, a chance at fortune, a secret that the world has yet to fully recognize. Treat it carefully. Cherish it. Because you never know, the small bronze coin could be the key that changes your life forever. And that was just coin number 2. Welcome back. Today, we are stepping into a story that feels almost unreal. A story about a coin so small, so overlooked, yet capable of changing lives overnight. This is the 1966 Australian 1-cent coin. And if you own one, you may not realize it, but you are holding a potential fortune in the palm of your hand. At first glance, the 1966 coin looks ordinary. It's bronze, made of 97% copper, darkened with age, dirty, worn, maybe even bent from decades of circulation. There is no mint mark, quietly struck at either the Perth or Canberra mint. It passed through millions of hands over the years, bought groceries, paid for buses, jingled in pockets, and yet its true value remained invisible to everyone. To most, it's just a coin. To collectors, it's a mystery waiting to be solved. Flip it over, and you see the Feathertail Glider, a small, gliding marsupial, perfectly captured in bronze. It is delicate. It is uniquely Australian. It is a symbol of life in motion. And for those who understand coin collecting, it's also a symbol of something far more valuable, hidden rarity. Here's the shocking truth: the 1966 1-cent coin was part of Australia's first decimal currency series. It was born in a time of transition, when the country was moving away from pounds, shillings, and pence. The mint was experimenting. Processes were new. Mistakes happened. Coins were struck with minor errors, irregularities, and subtle differences that were almost invisible to the naked eye. Yet these imperfections created something extraordinary: potential million-dollar coins decades later. Most of the 1966 coins were used heavily. Some became dirty. Some were scratched or bent. Some were nearly smooth from constant circulation. And most people assumed that worn coins had no value. They were wrong. Because history and rarity don't follow simple logic. Sometimes, the coins that appear ordinary are the ones worth hundreds of thousands, or even millions, today. Collectors around the world search endlessly for this coin. Not because it shines. Not because it is perfect. But because the story is written in its flaws, in the subtle differences that make a small bronze disc suddenly priceless. And when one of these coins appears in the right hands, its value skyrockets. It's a story of discovery. Of timing. Of patience. Imagine holding a coin that has survived more than 50 years. A coin that passed through countless hands. A coin that lived quietly in jars, drawers, and forgotten collections. And suddenly, one moment changes everything. The right collector notices it. The right buyer recognizes it. And in that moment, what was once pocket change becomes a life-changing fortune. This is why the 1966 1-cent coin is not just a coin. It is a lesson. A lesson that history hides treasures in the most ordinary places. A lesson that value is often invisible to the untrained eye. A lesson that patience, knowledge, and a bit of luck can turn bronze into gold, figuratively, and sometimes literally. If you own a 1966 Australian 1-cent coin, especially one without a mint mark, especially one that looks unusual, shows heavy wear, or seems different from others, treat it carefully. Do not clean it. Do not sell it cheaply. Do not assume it's just another old coin. Because the potential locked inside that small piece of history could be unimaginable. It could make you wealthy overnight. It could change your life forever. And that was the story of coin number 3. Together, the 1973, 1976, and 1966 Australian 1-cent coins are more than currency. They are time capsules, hidden treasures, and keys to unimaginable fortune. What looks ordinary to one person is priceless to another. And if you are holding one of these coins today, you might be holding a secret that the world hasn't fully discovered yet. So next time you stumble across a small, worn, bronze coin, look twice. Because sometimes, the smallest objects carry the biggest surprises.